Welcome to a Thursday edition of HQ Midday alongside Chris Hassel. I'm Tommy Tran. A lot of NFL to get to, of course, who to start, who to sit with our Fantasy Football Today crew. But we start with Thursday Night Football divisional matchup on deck.
In a division where everybody's above 500, Seahawks and Cards. Winner's going to be 3-1. Loser, at least for the time being, is going to be alone in last place. And both teams dealing with injuries. It's always the theme on a short week. You don't have much time to get back if you're dealing with, say, a concussion in protocol. Josh Jones is out once again. Nicky Manwari doubtful after spraining his ankle last week. Zach Charbonnet is one of 3 players listed as questionable for the Seahawks. For Arizona, we know James Conner is out for the season. Lost him last week. Zay Jones dealing with a concussion. He's out. Not enough time to make it out of protocol. Will Johnson, the cornerback, dealing with that groin injury. Looks like he's going to miss a second straight game. He's doubtful as well. So let's break this one down. An interesting Thursday nighter. We have our Pushing the Pile fellas with us, Mike Renner and JP Acosta. JP, which team do you believe is in better shape to deal with these injuries in a short week?
Yeah, I think it's the Seahawks largely because the Cardinals and what they're missing with James Conner and Will Johnson means so much to both sides of the ball. James Conner is sort of their way of being successful as an offense. He's able to grind out 4- and 5-yard carries. Now that Trey Benson is in the game, he's going to be a starting running back. He's a little bit more explosive, but you're going to miss some of those easy gains on the ground. And then Will Johnson provides some size, some length, and the ability to play man coverage. And you saw against the 49ers, the Cardinals kind of got crushed in man coverage whenever they went to third down, obvious passing situations. This is a team in the Seahawks where if they're able to get Jackson Smith and Jigba on one of their undersized corners, you're able to get a little bit of a win there. So I think the Seahawks are better equipped to deal with the injuries, largely just because the injuries the Cardinals have had are 2 major ones.
Yeah, I got to echo what JP said. I think the Seahawks are, not only because it's the 2 probably more major players, more crucial players to the Cardinals team, but the Seahawks just deeper in general. I just think they are the better roster top to bottom. And if they lose guys, they have backups at positions that have starting experience elsewhere or were drafted highly. So they've been without Devon Witherspoon the past 2 weeks, and their defense is not, has held teams to 30 points over that span. So I trust this Seahawks team to be able to mitigate those injuries better, not only through that, but also I think they scheme it up just a little bit better on both sides of the ball right now.
All right, Mike, let's go to the quarterback position. Kyler Murray, Sam Darnold. Kyler has not been good against Seattle in his career. In fact, he's lost 7 straight. And Mike, Sam Darnold, 70% completion percentage, 9 yards per attempt. Those would be career highs at this point. We kind of thought that he may maybe take a step back leaving the Vikings. That hasn't been the case.
It really hasn't. And this offense, I think, has really played to his skill sets. It's very play action heavy. He's averaging the highest yards per attempt, 14.3 yards per attempt off of play action this season. He's been very efficient with the football, not really putting the ball in harm's way a ton. And he's attacking down the football field. His average depth of target, 9.3 yards. It's the same as it was last year in Minnesota. We wondered how they'd kind of cobble it together without the deep speed. Well, they're attacking a ton at the intermediate level. They may not be going way down the football field, but they're going past the sticks a lot off of that play action game. So it's really been a great sort of symbiotic relationship between him and offensive coordinator Clint Kubiak.
Yeah, and I think I have to agree with Mike here, largely just because Sam Darnold has been so good off of play action, and what he's done in terms of attacking downfield to Jackson Smith and Jigba has been so fun to watch when you watch the Seahawks. It feels like he barely even left Minnesota in terms of what they're trying to do. And something that Clint Kubiak has done, the offensive coordinator for the Seahawks, is force teams into bigger personnel to get their linebackers on the field, and then you draw them up using run action, leaving a lot of what Mike said, the intermediate areas of the field wide open for Sam Darnold to attack. So I think I'm going with Sam Darnold in this matchup, largely just because the Seahawks know who they are offensively, and the Cardinals are still trying to figure that out.
You guys are on the Seahawks for everything so far, and now we get to the rushing attack, and we know what's going on with the Cardinals, losing James Conner for the rest of the season, so Trey Benson has to step up. But with that injury, Mike, when you compare these 2 rushing attacks, does the edge go to Seattle there as well?
I think it has to, and it's more because I don't trust this Cardinals team to be able to cobble it together. It's not as if James Conner was having too much success himself. He was averaging 3 yards per carry. The offensive line, according to PFF, was a bottom 5 run blocking unit, and then they're going up against a top 5 run defense in Seattle in terms of EPA per rush. So all things pointing to this Cardinals team not being able to get it done. Not that this Seahawks offense is a world beater on the ground, but I just trust Kenneth Walker to be able to create something out of nothing a little bit more than Trey Benson at this point.
And I think that when we talk about Trey Benson, he is a very explosive running back, but there are going to be a lot of pitfalls. There are going to be a lot of times where he's being stopped in the backfield. There are going to be a lot of negative plays. Whereas I think Kenneth Walker sort of ironed out his running style to be a little bit more consistent than Benson at this point. And like Mike said, the Cardinals offensive line, after losing Clayton Adams to Dallas in the offseason, it's felt like they're still trying to figure out what they want to be and still trying to play the hits from last year, but nothing really has gone right. They really haven't run Kyler Murray a lot. So I think Kenneth Walker's going to have the better advantage in this game, largely just because I think the Seahawks know who they are offensively and know how they want to attack.
Well, both defenses have been really good against the run, at least when you break down the numbers. Both top 7 in the league in rushing yards allowed. JP, which side do you trust more tonight?
As much as I love the Cardinals defense and what they've done, what they're trying to do, I think I'm going to go with the Seahawks here. They're getting everybody back healthy. They have been one of the best defensive lines from top to bottom this year. They've been able to stop the run. I think Byron Murphy II has played really well in his second year in the NFL, and they can rotate pass rushers in. You can have DeMarcus Lawrence on the field. You can rotate in Boye Mafe is questionable. You can have a guy like Derek Hall playing. Mike Morris is playing really well for them. So I think they're able to rotate guys and be able to play a little bit more effectively than Arizona, who, like we said, is going to be missing Will Johnson in this game. That takes away a large part of what they want to do on the back end.
Yeah, the Will Johnson injury is huge. I'm going Seattle as well. Will Johnson had 4 pass breakups. That's second most in the NFL through 3 games. Losing him against this Seahawks receiving core is just one of the guys you could use to neutralize JSN. And on the flip side, Seattle's getting guys back. You know, they get Julian Love back, Devon Witherspoon back. They've been dominating, you saw it second in the NFL in points per game allowed, without those 2 guys, without 2 Pro Bowl-ish caliber players in your secondary. Throwing those back into the mix, I think this could be one of the best defenses in the NFL when fully healthy.
All right, Tommy Tran, who's here with me, has been prodding you guys for maybe some plays tonight. We got the fantasy guys over here ready to come on as well. Really interested in that. Mike, what is your top play for tonight's matchup?
This might be a little bit crazy because he seemingly hasn't been able to catch over the last 2 weeks, but Marvin Harrison Jr. going over. Because of how the game script's going to go, I really like the Seahawks in this game. I think they're going to run out to an early lead, and that means garbage time passing receiving yards for Marvin Harrison Jr. And Tariq Woolen, as we've seen in those situations, has really struggled so far this season, especially in those contested catch situations where Marvin Harrison Jr. himself has struggled, but I think you'll get a few in this game to go over that number.
I'm actually going to go a little basic here. I'm going with Jackson Smith-Njigba over just because he is one of the best receivers in the NFL right now, and they continue to go after Jackson Smith-Njigba in every single way in terms of finding him in intermediate areas, trying to isolate him in the slot, and what they're going to be able to do against a Cardinals defense that, like we said, is going to be missing Will Johnson, their best defensive back. That's going to be huge in this game. I would take the Jackson Smith-Njigba over.
All right, let's get picks for the game. It sounds like I know where you guys are heading because it's basically a toss-up. Seattle right around minus 1.5 on the road tonight. JP, lead us off with a game play.
Last time I was on gameplay and gave a pick, the Lions made me look dumb. So I think I'm going to go with the underdog here. I'm not going with underdog. I'm going to go with the Seahawks here. I think that they just have too much going good for them right now with the run game, with Jackson Smith-Njigba playing well, and then getting everybody back on defense. Whereas the Cardinals are losing James Conner, losing Will Johnson. There's just so much more to figure out there. As much as I like the defense and their defensive front, I think Seattle pulls this one out at the end.
Yeah, trying to cobble together for those missing big pieces in Arizona on a short week. I just think they're going to struggle against what I think is one of the best defenses in the NFL. That's only getting better, as JP mentioned. Getting 2 guys back in this game that are such impact players. Devon Witherspoon, in my opinion, their best defensive player. So because of that, give me the Seahawks.
And if that is the case, it'll be Seattle's 8th straight road win under Mike McDonald, and they would get to 3-1 on the season. JP, Mike, thank you so much. You can hear them on the Pushing the Pile podcast. And here's our slate for this weekend on CBS, headlined by the 4:25 Eastern Time showdown between the Ravens and the Chiefs. NFL Today and NFL Today Plus will be live from Arrowhead leading up to it.
Got Logan Ryan tapping in for a look ahead at Thursday Night Football. Logan, thanks for being with us. I want to start your attention on the Seahawks sideline because they're 2-1 to start the game, going into this one, I should say. Positive injury news there with Devin Witherspoon and Julian Love. We're still waiting on Zach Charbonnet's status, but I mentioned Sam Darnold has been good. In your opinion, what has worked best for the Seahawks in year 2 of the Mike Macdonald era?
The defense just showed up. Dominant defense, number 2 in scoring defense. At the end of the day, you can grade a lot of defensive stats on yards allowed, passing yards, rush yards. When I played in the NFL, we care about the points allowed. That's the only stat that matters. At the end, hold them to a field goal, get a turnover, get them off the field. And when you're second in the NFL in points per game, that's going to help your quarterback out. That's going to help your offense out. That's going to help the kicking game. That's going to help field position. And ultimately, it's going to help you win games. So we know that Coach McDonald is a defensive coach coming over from Baltimore. Last year, that defense was not as dominant, obviously, as expected. But he definitely brought that defense in year 2, and they're a young group. They fly around. They're a really fun secondary to watch, and they're a dominant defense so far this season.
Our 2-time Super Bowl champ defender talking about the defense there. We love to see it, and I just worry a little bit about what this Cardinals defense, or this Cardinals offense, I should say, is going to look like against that Seahawks defense, because when you look at Kyler historically, Logan, he has really struggled in this matchup. 2-8 against Seattle, including those 7 straight L's we just talked about. And you partner that with him in prime time. I want you to listen to these numbers here. He's 2-6, including a 1-3 mark on Thursday night. In that stretch, Logan, he's got 6 touchdowns to 7 interceptions and just about an 82% passer rating. So when you think about those numbers and the history, how can Kyler sort of flip the script on history tonight?
Well, if you want to win in prime time, bring a good team to prime time games. That's going to help you win the games regardless where they're kicked off. I think right now, I covered the Cardinals week 1 this year, and when I really studied them and broke them down, to me, it's how do they get the mix of they want to be a running offense, and James Conner is now injured, and that injury is massive to me because he is such a good running back, such an underrated running back. He really has the respect of a lot of NFL players of his style of run, but they're really a run-first, throw to the tight end type offense with McBride, and then how do you get Marvin Harrison Jr. involved? He started off the year hot against the Saints, and then he's had some drops. He had some issues that kind of was his rookie year last year where he was a good player, but not the generational player that they drafted. So that balance of the running game, which now has to change without James Conner, and the tight end game, but then you got to get Marvin Harrison comfortable, confident, and involved, is always the balance that Kyler Murray is looking for and really what the Cardinals need. And why they've won games early this year, but kind of struggled, recently.
Yeah, and I will mention neither team is very good in primetime. Seattle is 4-11 since the start of the 2021 season. So someone's got to win, and we'll see which one it is. You did talk about Marvin Harrison Jr., so I want to point your attention there next, Logan, because the wide receiver spot on either side of this matchup is going to be fun, but kind of going in different directions. When you look at Jackson Smith and Jigba for Seattle, his stock is going way up this year. But then you mention it, Marvin Harrison Jr. maybe not living up to that generational hype we were expecting. And he got really emotional after that most recent game, Logan. He was crying in the locker room because that's how much this means to him, living up to the expectations. So when you evaluate these 2 wide receivers and you see the numbers on your screen, where does your attention go to, and how are you, as a former player, sort of evaluating their process to this point?
They're very different players. They're honestly both unique. They play different positions that operate very differently. Like Jackson Smith and Jigba's in the slot a lot, and that to me is a very quarterback-friendly position. Shorter routes, a lot more targets, a lot more volume, more design plays for him to get the ball, more scheme to get the ball. He's really the number 1 option in the offense. If you look about this in basketball terms, they're setting screens for Jackson Smith and Jigba. I talked about Marvin Harrison. He's more on the outside, more of your X receiver running your traditional routes. But that offense is schemed up for Trey McBride to get the targets. It's schemed up for Trey McBride to be the number 1 option. So Marvin Harrison Jr. is just a number 2 option in the pass game in his offense, where Jackson Smith's the number one option in his offense. And that's why the production's different. I'm sure the targets are a little bit different there. But Marvin Harrison Jr. needs to be more efficient. Last year, when he did get his targets, they didn't connect nearly at a high enough rate. So him and Kyler got to get on the same page. They talked about trust and timing, but I would like for them to scheme some more receptions from Marvin Harrison Jr. and make him more part of the offense so this young player can get in rhythm.
Got to get him involved, especially when we think about what he was able to do in college. He's got the talent. We'll just see if they can build through it as the season goes on. Before I let you go, Logan, I do want to talk big picture here, because when we think about the gauntlet in the NFL, we often go to the North, right? Whether that's the NFC or the AFC. But the last few years, the NFC West has been pretty scrappy. We're already seeing that through the first couple of weeks of the season. So being that this is a division game here, Logan, how important is it for either side to pick up a win early in the season?
It's major. Who said this division scrappy? All I see is that the 49ers, when they're healthy, they go to the NFC Championship. And when Sean McVay and Matt Stafford are healthy, they go to the Super Bowl and the NFC Championship. I think these guys have been to the NFC Championship like 6 out of the last 10 years. So to me, that's not a scrappy division. That's like when these teams are healthy, you're going to see one of them in the NFC Championship. So it's very important for either of these teams to not go 2-2 to keep up with the 49ers. They're dealing with some injuries, which they have in the past, but they're undefeated. The Rams are a tough team to beat. I played against them when they had McVay and Matt Stafford. We know how tough that is with what they got going on. So this is a very tough division. There's no slouches in this division, and you got to win these games early to keep up in the end, because if these two teams like the 49ers and Rams are healthy, they're pretty much a shoo-in for the NFC Championship like they've been the last decade.
Yeah, we saw it come down to the wire even last season with which teams were going to get into the postseason. So to your point, this is tough. Logan, we appreciate the time. Safe travels wherever you're headed this weekend and beyond. And as always, we'll keep in touch with you as the season rolls along.
Oh!
Right?
Oh!
So I will say, this is the first time I've seen our new promo, Game Day Recap. Hang out with us every Sunday, 8:20 Eastern, with the four of us. Zach, we just got Ran on this promo. It took us a second to get his headshot in, but this is the crew. We have a lot of fun every Sunday, 8:20 Eastern. Make sure you hang out with us.